We're going to call the zoning board meeting to order. If you would please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everybody. The Goffstown Zoning Board is an elected board of 5 members and up to 5 appointed alternates. Currently, the board does have 5 members and 1 alternate, so if anybody is interested in serving on the ZBA, you can contact Derek at Town Hall. The board has a posted agenda for each meeting and tends to follow the items in order. The board will open the public hearing on an application to receive testimony from the applicants, from the abutters, and the affected parties, and to ask questions about the request. The public hearing will then be closed, and the board will enter into a deliberative session to discuss the merits of the appeal. For each application, the board will decide to approve with conditions, deny, or continue to a later meeting. You're welcome to watch the deliberations this evening, or you can contact Town Hall to get the results. For an applicant's request to be approved, there must be an affirmative vote of at least 3 members. An applicant can request a continuance if there's not a full 5-member board to act on an application. If you're aggrieved by a decision made by the ZBA tonight, you have the right to appeal to Superior Court. However, before appealing to Superior Court, you must request a rehearing with this board to preserve your right to appeal. Rehearing requests must be filed within 30 days of the decision and state all reasons why the decision was unlawful or unreasonable. And failure to request a rehearing may forfeit your ability to appear to Superior Court. I'm going to ask everybody to make sure your phones are on silent for the meeting, and I'm going to ask the board to introduce themselves, and we'll start with Derek.
I'm Derek Horn, Town Administrator, serving as staff liaison.
Alan Yates, member.
Judy Elaine, alternate.
I'm Gail LeBrecq, Chair.
Jason Cody, member.
Denise Langley, member.
Thank you. First item on our agenda is the minutes to the meeting of November 2nd. Do we have any?
I have no changes. I motion to accept it.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. And voting, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstained. I wasn't here at the meeting.
Okay, and Judy?
My voting yes. Aye.
Oh, yes. I do want to appoint you as a voting alternate tonight, absent our vice chair. So you'll be a voting alternate all night.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. All right, so we have, and I vote in favor as well. We have a vote of 4-0 with 1 abstention. Okay. Our first application for tonight is Brian Nawa, owner applicant seeking a variance to exceed the maximum density allowed to raise the existing detached barn and construct an additional 2 dwelling units on the parcel that already has an existing 5-unit multifamily building. The existing lot size totals 0.618687 acres, or 26,950 square feet, whereas the minimum required lot size for a total of 7 dwelling units is 2.33 acres, or 101,640 square feet. This concerns Section 4.3, Table of Dimensional Regulations, footnote 7 of the Goffstown Zoning Ordinance. The applicant is also seeking a variance to construct the additional 2 dwelling units, which would be a detached duplex, 20 feet from the rear property line, whereas 30 feet is required. The existing former school bus garage would be raised. The property is located at 10 East Union Street, map 34, lot 18. It's zoned residential, and it was continued from the October 5th and November 2nd meetings. And I will entertain a motion for regional impact, please.
Our motion is no regional impact.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carries. And Mr. Nawa, are you ready?
I'm ready.
What do you want to tell us about your application?
Sure. So we met back in October, and then was continued, then it turns out I need two variances, I guess, one for the density and one for the setback. But basically, just to re-look at the issue, I want a variance approval to replace the existing bus barn. It'd be a new smaller building consisting of two one-bedroom apartments. The existing non-conforming building is on an existing non-conforming lot of record built in the 50s and was used to house and repair school buses for the Goffstown School District. So the structure then and now consists of a two-level outbuilding and two attached 45 by 12-foot bays. So the entire structure is basically beyond repair, needs to be replaced. So in the past, I found that using this building for storage has not worked out well, and in fact, it presented problems such as storage customers accessing the building and parking, noise and traffic on site, just was disturbing the families that currently live on the property. So rebuilding and operating it as storage is not really appropriate and doesn't blend in with the character of this neighborhood or basically the village at large. It makes more sense to keep the entire site residential and hopefully to convert the building into living space. This would be in keeping with the current usage and it wouldn't disturb or affect the character of the neighborhood. So the new building shrinks down so as to be less intrusive, and by design it blends in better with the surrounding buildings and the overall character of the neighborhood. The footprint will be some 700 feet smaller and move 20 feet off of the back lot line. The existing building is on the lot line. So it moved 20 feet. To meet the 30-foot setback requirement would just really crowd the parking and it'd be too close to the other existing structure. So, I looked at different ways of reconfiguring the building and putting it in different spots on the lot, but really nothing works except to move it to 20 feet off the back lot line. But this does make it more conforming, and the parking would be reconfigured to the right of the building and would be more than enough space for 16 spaces on the property. So basically, the new building would be an improvement to the neighborhood and wouldn't diminish property values and would rather be more likely to increase values of the surrounding properties. Also, the addition of the 2 units to a total of 7, it would not be dissimilar to other nearby buildings. For example, across Main Street, Lamson on 47 Main is a 7-unit building. And the old Maples building on 58 Main Street is a 6-unit building. Additionally, the 2 properties that abut this property in question are both 5 units and one is a 4-unit building. So most of these large village buildings in this neighborhood area are non-conforming in terms of lot size and number of dwelling units. Yet this non-conforming density doesn't seem to be in any way a negative issue for the neighborhood or the people that occupy the units in the neighborhood. As a matter of fact, these dwelling units are highly sought after by tenants who love living in this village neighborhood. And as a matter of fact, I have a waiting list of people that want to live in case vacancies come up. So in my opinion, this would be an overall good fit for the neighborhood. It's in this setting totally reasonable. It doesn't conflict with the spirit of the setback or density ordinances. Specifically, it becomes more conforming in terms of setback, and it doesn't create a density that results in overcrowding or any foreseeable negative impact on the neighborhood. In fact, the green space, by making the footprint smaller, will increase by almost 1,000 square feet in the back of the building. So it's a reasonable increase of the current usage, doesn't have any negative impact, and remains in character with the surrounding properties. The new structure is an overall improvement that far outweighs the increase in density. It seems to me, too, that an increase in a nonconformity in and of itself really shouldn't be grounds for denying a variance. It's not absolutely a negative or a bad thing. An increase in any proposed nonconformity, I think should be considered on its merits and not absolutely considered a bad thing. The question should be what impact would result and what would the impact be, positive or negative? Does it create problems or does it affect the neighborhood in any way negatively? In this case, I think clearly the answer is that it does not create any problems or negatively affect the neighborhood. So to deny these variances, I think would prevent a reasonable usage that would not be contrary to the public interest and create an unnecessary hardship. That's pretty much all I have to say.
That's pretty
Thank you.
much. Does the board have any questions?
Not at this time.
Mr. Nawe, I have a couple of questions. Of the properties nearby that you said have 7 units, 6 units, 5 or 4, are they all just in one building on the lot, or are they in multiple buildings on the lot?
The two that I mentioned, the 6 and the 7, are on single buildings.
Okay. And I know you said that the nonconformity shouldn't be, I forget what your exact words were, but they should be taken, basically you're saying case by case, and that is true. However, the zoning ordinance does tell us that we shouldn't be increasing nonconformity but lessening it if there's going to be a change on the property.
Well, that may be true or not, but the role of the zoning board is to offer relief of ordinances restricting usage if they meet the criteria
Yeah?
and are not contrary to the public interest, that substantial justice is done. I mean, the five criteria. Surrounding property values are not diminished, so I mean, that's the role of the variance process, is to provide relief
You're right.
when it's appropriate.
Yeah, I won't argue that.
And again, a nonconformity, it is what it is. It's not necessarily an absolutely bad thing. It's to basically deny a variance based on that fact that it's an increase in a nonconformity, I think is flawed, and that doesn't provide any relief, based on the merits. So, I mean, I don't see a downside to this project. I mean, it's a big old ugly bus barn. I don't want to rebuild a big old ugly bus barn and have a bunch of roofers storing roofing materials in there, coming in all hours of the night. So, I mean, in my mind, the best use is it was originally a 2,500 square foot building. I mean, it's huge. It's 50 by 45. And 2 levels. So I'm trying to think, what would be the best usage. I mean, again, it offers me a better usage, and it provides 2 more living, apartments in the neighborhood, in the village area. So, I mean, density, I mean, residential 1 is residential 1, but in the village, it's a whole different issue. I mean, you have all these large buildings all over the Goffstown village that people can't afford to live in anymore, solely by themselves, as single-family homes. So what do you do with them? So this barn, I think, kind of, fits into that category. It's like, yeah, it's in the village, yeah, it's non-conforming, but what do you do with it?
Okay. Denise?
Can I ask Derek a question?
Sure.
Derek, is this going to go to planning board if we approve it for a site plan?
It would be multifamily, so yes, it would
Okay.
require site plan approval.
So the positioning of the building, as long as we give, if he were to receive a variance, is not up to us. I just don't see an exact layout. That's why I'm questioning.
Yeah, it would
But it
require.
has to go to planning board, so
Yeah,
it's not our
multifamily
job.
development.
Okay.
Any other?
No, I appreciate he moved the building.
Okay. That's a good start.
Yes.
I guess my biggest concern is that it's going to be 2 buildings on one lot. Kind of like, well, I guess it's not really a compound, but kind of like a compound.
We'll be talking deliberations on that, but, because there's already 2 buildings there.
But yeah, it's
But
already,
they're not residential buildings. Some are, they're accessory buildings.
Mhm.
But if you think about it, in question, that there's a lot of sites here with multiple buildings on the sites. Although they may not be used for housing, they're still there, they're still structures.
Mhm.
Well, that's my point.
And I have, to be honest with you, I don't have a problem with it.
Well, we do need to hear your variance criteria answers. Get those officially on the record, if you wouldn't mind.
Okay, granting the variance would not be contrary to the public interest. Granting this variance would not unduly to a marked degree alter the essential character of the neighborhood or threaten the public health, safety, and welfare. The proposal replaces a 2,000 square foot former bus storage garage in disrepair with a new 1,800 square foot building consisting of 2 one-room apartments. It's a non-conforming lot and structure of record, and the plan reduces the footprint and positions it closer to the required lot line setbacks, making it more conforming. The new structure will not alter the essential character of this neighborhood. Number 2, consistent with the spirit of the ordinance. Per the Supreme Court, the spirit of the ordinance and contrary to public interest are related. So as described above, granting the variance would not unduly and to a marked degree alter the character of the neighborhood or threaten the public health, safety, or welfare. The new building replaces a beyond repair structure with an attractive new building. It will be more conforming, and that will be off the rear lot line by some 20 feet. It would be a general improvement to the neighborhood overall. Variance result in substantial justice being done. We believe that denial of this variance will not result in a gain to the general public, but only a loss to the applicant. The variance will allow for the removal of an unusable school bus storage garage space and the building of a smaller, more conforming living space in the village area. The value of surrounding properties are not diminished. The proposal removes this old, large building, replaces it with a smaller, attractive new one. Will fit in well with the architecture of the village area. It would surely not diminish value of the neighborhood property, and in fact would tend to increase surrounding property values. Literal enforcement of the ordinance would result in an unnecessary hardship. So no fair and substantial relationship exists between the general public purpose of the ordinance provision and the specific application of that provision to the property. This is a non-conforming lot of record with an existing non-conforming structure needing to be replaced. The proposed structure will be smaller in footprint and will become more conforming in terms of setback requirements. Denial of the variance would not allow the applicant to reasonably use the existing space on the property, creating an unnecessary hardship. Yet there would be no advancement of the purposes of the ordinance provision in any fair or substantial way with that denial. And the proposed use is a reasonable one. The replacement of this building and the additional dwelling units will not alter the usage or affect the character of this neighborhood and is a reasonable use for this multifamily neighborhood. The nearby houses consist of 4, 5, 2, 6, and 7 units.
Okay. Thank you. Does the board have any questions? of the applicant?
Questions?
Not at this time.
Ready for the public hearing then? No? Jason?
No, I don't think I have any questions right now.
All right.
Yeah, the only other thing I guess I should mention is the Millyard Proposal, although it's zoned differently, it's across the street. It's like, what, 99 units have been approved? I don't know how big an area that is acreage-wise, but I suspect that it's going to be dense. And, you know, I live in town, so I mean, I'm driving on Mass Road all the time. I see the recent buildings going up across from the villa and stuff like that. It's like, I mean, talk about population density. It's very dense. I mean, not that I'm against it. It's fine. I don't have a problem with it. But
Okay.
so, having said that, I mean, I guess I rest my case.
Actually, I
Okay.
have a question.
Oh, Jason's got a question for you.
In all of this paper, what's the size of each of the dwelling units? Do you remember how many
I think
square
one
feet?
is some 800, I think I have it here.
I want to say I thought I saw it somewhere, but
Somewhere.
oh, is it this one?
The smaller one is 700 square feet, and the second one is 831 square feet.
Okay. So while we're still in public session, I want to ask a question. So according to this, on the dimensional standards thing, if it says the minimum dwelling unit size is 800 square feet, in the event that an existing non-residential structure is converted to a multifamily structure, is that going to be problematic as part of this discussion?
What paragraph are you looking at?
Page 40, it's 4.4.3.2.
What is it?
4.4.3.2, page 40.
Yes.
So I wanted to ask about that. And then the other question that I had is that according to the table of principal uses, in residential 1, a multifamily dwelling needs a special exception. But I don't see a special exception in here, right? These are just variances?
These are just-
You can answer the two if you want.
Well, I
it's just
think that was
variances, right?
brought up prior, the square footage size. Apparently somewhere there's reference to there has to be more than 800 square feet or whatever. But it was said that it's not applicable in this case. I don't know why that was, but
It could be that this is not a conversion.
it's not.
Correct.
This isn't a conversion.
It's not a conversion.
It's a brand-new build.
No,
No,
no, it
it's
says,
the conversion of the
now
building.
this says, the
that's
minimum
there.
dwelling unit size is 800 square feet in the event that an existing non-residential structure, which is this garage, is converted to a multifamily structure, or if already converted, additional dwelling units are added.
But he's,
But he's raising it.
He's
He's
not-
not
it's
converting
not a
it. The
conversion.
word
That's
true.
convert means
That's
you
true.
take
It's
an
gonna be raised
existing
and
building
rebuilt,
and
so-
convert it.
Okay.
Apparently it doesn't apply. Although, you know, I can say this too, I mean, my designer didn't go into any great detail. This is totally preliminary because, you know, if I don't get approval, you know, what's the point of doing
Right.
detailed design work?
Yeah.
I personally, I think this is a great project. I just am new, so I'm asking these questions
Oh,
just
no,
so
that's
that I can
fine.
understand them too.
Yeah.
Or somebody might say, "Oh," then say, "Oh." So then the only other question I have is the special exception thing under R1.
Well, this is a two-family unit, right? So I think it's not necessarily multifamily. Could that be how it was applied? If you look above it.
Oh, yeah.
Number 2. The whole site is going to be multifamily, but the dwelling itself
each-
is 2 units.
Okay, so those are, it's not based on the property having a multifamily property.
Input on that, Derek?
That's what I'm looking for right now. I believe you have a clause in your ordinance that talks about uses previously approved by special exception. I'm having a difficulty finding an agreement.
I've only memorized a little bit of this, so it's gonna take a little while.
Good, now we know where to go.
What page are you
I
looking
was
at?
kidding.
Oh, sorry.
The chart
You'd
is
be very
Chart's on
helpful
page
to us.
26.
What?
26. Yes? Alan?
In today's world, 800 square feet is too big. Because
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, seriously.
if you look at a couple of projects
I know. Yeah.
that, 600, 500, 600 square foot units are being built.
New York City has smaller ones.
I trust me, I don't
So
disagree with that.
It's
but-
not a conversion, if it's a new building.
Yeah, I understand that.
And even conversion, I'm working on a project in Manchester right now where 450 square foot units, studio units, in an existing building.
Well, if this was
Being
Goffstown,
built.
you'd have to come talk to me, and
It just,
I would be pulling out my book.
Okay. Are we
800
good?
square feet is probably, comes
Derek, I
about because of the
can't
maximum
find it.
size for ADUs.
Did you find it?
So
Right.
it all gets kind of melded in there together, unfortunately.
Do we have other questions?
Thank you.
So on page 113 of your zoning ordinance, under section 14.6.3, there is status of uses authorized by special exception or conditional use permit. Basically says any use that is either in existence at time of passage or amendment or had previously been granted a special exception shall without further action be deemed a conforming use. Any enlargement or replacement of such use in the buildings or on land shall require a special exception as indicated in 310. So I would say yes, a special exception
Would be
for
required.
expansion would be required.
Granted by whom?
The zoning board. You are,
Are all,
conditional use permits are planning board, special exceptions are zoning board.
okay.
So that just means we can grant the variances as requested. They'll just need to come back again. Procedural question, I guess.
We're going to have to come back again for the special exception, so it can be notified?
I think abutters were notified of the variance application and the type of project, but they were not, and I don't believe you have the criteria for special exception in your packet.
We don't. And they weren't. Okay.
So can we vote on the variances at least?
Yes, you
We could.
could, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Then I have no more questions.
Can we clear this up on why we have to do this? I mean, I'm just asking the question, because this is already the second time he's been here.
Yeah,
So
I
why do we have to
disagree.
why does he have to come back?
Because the public wasn't notified. They got
I
their
think they were notified of the project.
Of the project.
They were notified of the density variance and the variance for the setback.
This time, yes. He came back, the first time it was because they weren't notified about the setback. And now it's the special exception.
And we're
Yes,
giving
as-
him a special exception for what reason versus a variance?
A special
I missed
exception
that.
would be required because it's a multifamily use.
Right.
The existing multifamily is allowed to continue there, but the expansion requires a special exception. Alternatively, if the board determined, I mean, you are an elected land use board, if you determined that you have the authority to grant a special exception, you could do that, and any aggrieved party could request a rehearing. alternatively.
That is correct.
So,
Okay.
I mean, I'm just trying to hash this out here. He was coming in for a variance for a multifamily. So we're doing a special exception instead of a variance?
So the variance is for the
The
density.
variance is for the density, and the other variance is for the setback. But for the use itself of multifamily,
So the abutters know it's a multifamily.
Yes, in the number of units, yes.
And, do you happen to have a copy of that little speech that you read off at the beginning, just so I can look at it again? Sorry.
I'm sorry, I know.
Thank you very much. I have no more questions. And I don't disagree with you, Denise.
Can we open it to the public?
Yes, let's open it to the public and then we'll
Yeah,
deliberate.
I'm good with that.
Okay, I'm going to see, does anybody in the audience have anything that they would like to say about this application? Are there any? Yes, sir?
Let the guy build his house.
Well, if you want that comment on the
Or
record, then would
Build a
you?
building.
Okay, would you come forward, state your name and?
Do you want me to sit down or stand?
Sure.
My name's Michael Giuliano.
Want to spell your last name?
Euliano.
Okay. Go ahead. What's your comment?
To just allow him to take down this old, ugly-looking building and build one that looks better.
Okay, I'm sure he appreciates that.
Yeah, he's gonna build a smaller building and put it to good use. I think this town needs that.
Not arguing with you.
Okay. That's all I have to say.
But we do have big
Rules,
rules.
right?
So we just gotta figure out how to make them work.
I understand.
Okay? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else?
Thanks, man.
Anybody else? Seeing none, then I'm gonna close the public hearing and the board will enter deliberations. Jason?
So pursuant to what Derek just said, I think I'd like to see if we feel as a board, we have the authority to grant the special exception as part of our variance. Provided that we approve the variance.
Should we start with the variances first? And see if we approve them before we make that decision?
I think that's putting the cart before the horse. I mean, if they all came to us in a package, we would deal with a special exception, I think, before we got into
Okay,
the
that's
dimensional
fine.
things.
Then I feel that we could safely rule on a special exception with the notification that it was the abutters or anybody that had any interest knew it was going to be a multifamily in density. We're questioning density, and they
Okay.
knew that.
Alan?
But he's building a two-family. Building a duplex. Duplex doesn't require a special exception. It's permitted in the R1 zone.
Right, but we just clarified that we have to grant a special exception because it's a multifamily property.
But you said property.
Yes, I did. I said that before
Land
too.
and structures in combination is what the zoning ordinance reads. Temporary or illegal use of land or structures or land and structures in combination shall not be, oh, no, wrong one, sorry. Any use in lawful existence at the time of passage or amendments which would therefore require a special exception or a conditional use permit under its terms shall without further action be deemed a conforming use. An enlargement or a replacement of such use in buildings or land shall require a special exception.
This is a good case of where the board can take and make a decision. And if someone decides they don't want to live with it, they can take us to court.
I agree with you.
I agree too.
I think it's a very safe decision to make, that we could decide on the special exception this
So,
evening.
so then, I think maybe what we should do is discuss the variances, and then I'm happy to make that as part part of a motion.
I think she wants us to deal with the special exception
Well, there is no
first.
special exception on the books, though, so I think if we discuss the variance, then we can put that as part of the,
We can
Motion.
still,
Do
Derek
two
explained,
motions.
yeah, we can do
To
them
do
all.
three, yeah.
There would be 3 motions,
Mhm.
but the special exception, we may not have the document that would guide us along, but the criteria are in the ordinance on page 119, and we could choose to find them or not.
okay. Page 119, what was that number again?
Page 119,
1532.
section 15.3.2.
15.352. Okay. I think I'm ready to make a motion, if that's okay with you.
Hold on.
Derek, what was, that was on page 113 that you found, that other part, right?
Yeah.
Under 14.6.3. Oh, yes, on page 113.
Will this be acceptable?
Yes.
Okay. I just don't want to get us into any.
Yes. Okay.
Okay,
I think I'm ready.
shoot.
All right.
Go for it.
So, pursuant to,
Did you close the public hearing?
I did.
Yes.
Okay.
so pursuant to the town administrator who is acting as staff liaison, indicated that as a board, provided we felt we had the authorization to do so, pursuant to 14.6.3 and 15.3.2, I make a motion to grant a special exception to Mr. Noe for the building of his multifamily property.
I'll second that.
Okay. We have the motion, we have the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, now,
Okay, now we go with the variances.
and nobody has anything, I'm ready to make a motion. I just have to find the right page. Okay. So I make a motion to approve Mr. Noe's request to approval for his variance to exceed the maximum density allowed to raise a existing detached barn and construct an additional 2-dwelling unit on a parcel that has already been existing, whereas the lot exceeds, the existing lot is 6.1867 acres, and the minimum size is 2.33 acres.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
And we have the motion, we have the second. Do we have a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
You want to do that
Madam
one?
Chair, did you give the street address in the motion?
Oh, I did not. Sorry, I would amend that motion to
Include the street address. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, and then the other variance is to construct the additional 2 dwelling units, a detached duplex, 20 feet from the rear property line, whereas 30 feet is required.
I'll make the motion, and I want to make the motion because I came here this evening. If you didn't do that, you probably would have been denied. So I'm very happy that you didn't make us deny you on that you moved the building, so it's appreciated. So I will motion to approve the applicant in seeking a variance to construct the additional 2 dwelling units 20 feet from the rear property line, whereas 30 feet is required, at 10 East Union Street.
Okay, do we have a second?
I will second.
No, Ellen. Ellen had his hand up.
I'll second.
Is it 10 or 16?
It's 10.
10. I'm reading 10.
Did you put your hand up to second, or was that just for the question?
Well, the application says 16 each Union Street.
It does?
It would be
Yeah.
No, it
map
doesn't.
map 34, lot 18.
It doesn't. it
Okay,
just-
map
It
34,
says-
lot
it
18.
says 10
Let's
each.
do that.
I see it, yeah, that's what I was noticing.
No, it says 10. He's good.
Okay, so
Yeah.
was your hand,
Right.
should I count you as seconding the motion when you put your hand up?
Yes.
Or no? Okay. All right, so we have the motion for the 20 feet from the rear property line. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, you're set. Thank you.
Very good.
You neither. I was just making
No,
sure that wasn't.
that would have been painful. If we had to do that. it would have been painful.
But they didn't want to mount it for that either.
Okay, our next application is a public hearing on remand by the Housing Appeals Board of the ZBA's finding regarding unnecessary hardship in their denial of the use variance for the following application, and the ZBA will also be holding a public hearing on the variance request regarding setbacks. Hemley LLC, owners applicants are seeking 2 variance requests. The first is to allow a proposed multifamily use in the commercial industrial flex zone. The second request is to permit the proposed 30-unit condominium development that will have 4 buildings with less than 1/2 the building length to the side setbacks. This concerns section 3.1? 3.11, okay, they're different fonts. And section 4.4.1.3 of the Goffstown zoning ordinance. The properties are located at 134 Mast Road, map 5, lot 54 and 54-1, zone commercial industrial flex zone, and this was continued from our November 2nd meeting. And, before we get started, I will entertain a motion for regional impact.
I need to recuse myself.
Yes, okay.
I second that.
Who made the motion?
You did.
No.
No,
Oh, okay.
I asked for a motion.
Oh, you asked.
You gonna make the motion?
Good.
Can I ask you a procedural question first? Now we have a board of 4.
Yeah, we're gonna
Okay,
address that in
just
a minute.
wanted to make sure. I'll make the motion for no regional impact.
I second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. And the applicant, there you are. You
you
moved
very
silently.
much.
Do you still want to go forward with a 4-member board?
Madam Chairman, we are going to ask for a continuance to see if we can get a full 5-member board for this.
Okay. And can we vote on that request?
I'll make a motion to allow a continuance.
Okay. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Alan, you're going to abstain? 3-0-1. Okay. Okay.
Thank you. and
Hopefully next month will be a better one.
Thank you very much.
Uh-huh. Okay, the next application is 118 Elm Street Realty Trust, and Andrew and Kathy Baraby, applicants owners, seeking a variance to allow for the construction of a carport attached to a garage that does not meet the side yard setback requirement of 15 feet. The existing garage is located 5.2 feet from the side property line, and the carport addition will be located 7.8 feet from the side property line. This concerns section 4.3, table of dimensional regulations of the Goffstown zoning ordinance. The property is located at 118 Elm Street, map 35, lot 20, zoned residential 1. You move so quietly to come up there. Don't
Our shoes off. Are
Okay.
we supposed to have the paperwork so we can read it? Yeah, because Nancy never did it.
Okay, we can take care of it.
I think he has that.
Okay.
Oh, the map.
Yeah, the application is,
Okay, first of all, we need to have a motion for regional impact, please.
Our motion is no regional impact.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, tell us about your application, please.
We are, it's a carport behind the garage that that we were a little short, and we thought we met the setbacks of 10 feet, but when we attached it to the garage, it went to 15 feet. So I don't want to have to detach it from the garage and move it backward. So that's one of the problems we have.
Okay. What's the size of this carport?
20 by 20.
Okay. And it's 5.2 feet from the side property line. How close is your garage to the property line?
The garage is 5 feet, I believe. Let's see. The existing garage is 5.2 feet.
Okay.
And so by attaching it, it made it bigger, so that the garage became, the carport in the garage became a bigger, which we didn't realize, and so then it didn't meet the setback.
Okay. Does the board have questions?
Well, I do have a question, because if the garage is 5.2 feet to the property line, so it looks like the attached covered storage would be a little greater than that. A looks a little larger than B, and then C. So I just want to make sure we're talking, because it looks like it's further away than the existing garage.
We went, when we did this, we went off the plans that the city had, the town had, and it was a fence. And so the fence, the fence and then a foot behind it. So that's where we worked off. And so after this happened, we went and got a survey done, and the survey, we couldn't even find the points because it's been there so long. It's on the water, so we had to find everything and do the survey. You had to come back 3 times to find the different points. And this is what we had: 3 different points located on different maps. The road was bigger at one point, it grew, and they were looking at old maps, and so my neighbor and I, we came to an agreement of where the property line would be, and we tried to keep it along the fence as close as we could.
Okay. So I'm reading this, and you look at the chart at the bottom, it shows A, which would be where the carport is, would be 7.8 feet from the line. It shows C to be 5.2 feet.
That's the garage.
Correct. So you're talking about the attached covered storage is what we're talking about.
Yes.
So it's not 5.2, it's actually 7.8 feet.
It's actually,
Correct.
well, the side by the garage is 9.7.
Right. And the other one is 7.8. I thought you had said that was 5.2. I just wanted to make 7.8. So it's a little more space than we have here. Okay. Thank you.
And is this thing already built?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's why I couldn't, I'm looking at it, I thought you were putting more and I couldn't place this. Okay.
I guess my question is, why is it already built rather than coming here first for the required variance?
Well, when we did this, we thought 10 feet was the requirements, but we didn't realize when we attached it, it would make it bigger. The whole footprint bigger, and it would go to a 15-foot setback.
Gotcha.
And so that's where we're at. And so we're basically asking for you know, and then and then in doing the surveys, the lines it kept moving and adjusting, and we, Mr. Hunter and I agreed that, you know, on this new lines, we found all the pins, but a couple were gray, and it didn't meet certain prints, so this is what the survey came up with.
Okay, that's,
Thank you.
it's nice to have a survey plan.
Yes.
Thank you.
Does the board have any further questions? No? Jason?
For the purpose of discussing or talking about this, do we need to see the boundary agreement with, no, okay.
Because I know he said that, but it's surveyed.
Okay.
So that's all that matters, this is a
Gotcha.
legal document.
Gotcha. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
And you ask questions.
Okay. Well, but I'm going to ask you, did you give them the copy of the?
Yes, they have a copy.
You want to explain, you know, those answers that you gave about your reasons for the variance and how they meet certain criteria? You don't have, you can read them, or you can just summarize them?
It's been a long time since I wrote them, so I'll read them from the paper. So you want me to read number 1, granting the variance would not be
Yes.
okay.
Yep.
So the structure will not increase traffic in the neighborhood or change the character. It exists on a private property that is not visual from the main road, no frontage. The structure acts as a covering for my mother's car. I didn't put that in, I don't think I put the car in there, but I'm gonna say that. A jet ski that we have, our main purpose was to clear this driveway. We share the driveway with our neighbor, and it was becoming very overcrowded, and with snow removal and twice having the fire department with an ambulance come in for my mother or my dad, it was quite the ordeal backing out onto Elm Street. And so that was the wheels started turning and saying, what can we do to get all of this stuff off the driveway? And the back of our garage has 2 barn doors that were existing that open up to the back, so it sort of made it easy to drive things through, and that's where we came up with that. So
That's creative.
the spirit of the ordinance is observed because the variance will not alter or affect land use in contrast to the zoning code. The land use will be better utilized, neighborhood noise levels, safety standards, traffic or emergency vehicles will not be affected. Use will not be affected. And then 3, granting the variance would do substantial justice because the variance would work in harmony with the ordinance. It would remove vehicles, trailers from the driveway and right-of-way that would otherwise obstruct emergency vehicles or pedestrian traffic, which our driveway is also a walking right-of-way for several of the neighbors to go down to the lake. So, again, keeping things out of the way for people. Oh, I have to keep going?
You get 4?
I'm ex-teacher, it's like, yeah. The values of surrounding properties will not be diminished because the property is shielded from public view. Neighboring properties will not be negatively affected in any way, including to increase to traffic, no safety or noise concerns.
Okay. And about hardship?
Okay.
Why is there a hardship for this application?
The general public would be positively affected. There would be better access provided to the right-of-way. Utility emergency vehicles will have complete access to the property. And that includes all FedEx and all those guys too. The proposed use is a reasonable one because only through this variance can the use of the structure and positive attributes be utilized.
Okay.
Continue?
Yeah. Almost done.
Without approval of the variance, vehicles and obstructions would make it difficult to utilize the existing garage and maintain a safe and obstruction-free space for public and private use. And then other issues, snow removal in a very narrow space be greatly affected as well, which we've already gone through that for several years, so now which is better.
I have another question before you.
Go ahead.
So according to the staff report, assuming that we approve this variance request, we're gonna have to do another one for 13.3.4 for wetlands.
So on page 1 of your staff report under item number 4A, The town has a wetland and surface water conservation district. When any times you're within 100 feet of surface water or wetlands of certain sizes. The outer 50 feet can be waived. That's done by conditional use permit through the planning board after comment by the Conservation Commission. So that would not be the zoning board, but any new structures within that outer 50 feet of the 100-foot setback does require a conditional use permit. Also, as you see just below that on item 4B, a shoreland permit would be required from New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services because within 250 feet of the protected shoreland, any construction of new footprint, basically, any deck, new building, or even a carport in this case, would require a shoreland permit.
Okay, thank you.
And relief from the outer 50 feet, that goes to the planning board.
Yes, it does, yes.
So are we going to have to consider the outer 50 feet for us too?
No, that's fully under the planning board, and that's, they have a separate set of criteria.
That'll be the next step if we approve.
Yes.
Right.
You're simply looking at the variance for the side yard setback.
Okay, but I guess the question I have is that in normal circumstances, right, they would then have to come back for the second piece. But this is already built.
They wouldn't come back to you. They would, whether it was built or not, the next step would be the planning
Right.
board.
Okay. So where it says zoning board, that should say.
No, it says zoning ordinance.
It says zoning ordinance.
sorry,
I'm
okay.
yeah. I should have been clearer. That's a conditional use permit for the planning
you.
board. I think the only time you deal with it is when it's in the inner.
Okay,
Right.
okay. Inner, outer, important ones.
Okay, are we ready for public comment? Public comment? Opening the hearing to the public? Anybody have other questions?
I do have one question, because we need to make sure that this is clear, because they're requesting it to be 5.2 feet from the side. And based on this, it is 7.8. So, I don't...
The way I wrote it was the existing garage is located 5.2 feet from
Oh,
the side
thank you
property
for that.
line.
Oh, I see it.
And the
You're right.
carport addition
You're
is
right.
7.2.
Thank you,
I
Derek.
did the same thing.
Okay, thank you. Got it.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to open the hearing to the public. If there's anybody here who has comments that they want to make on this application? Yes, sir? You want to come forward and state your name? If you folks want to step aside a minute to give them a chance to come up?
Yeah.
And what is it that you have?
I have this just letter of intent, and I have no problem at all with the carport. Matter of fact, I'm the one that let the cat out of the bag, or whatever you want to say. I went down and I said, what do I need to go ahead and put a 24 by 36 garage up? And I had to be 15 feet from the property line. And I said, well, what about my neighbor? And that's how it all came about.
Okay.
And come to find out, he never got a permit for it or anything like that. And it was already built, and it was done, what, a year and a half, 2 years ago?
No.
Labor Day weekend, a year ago, it was done. And I have no objections at all of the carport and the garage. I knew that it's close to the property line, but at the same token, I'm no better than he is, and he's no better than I. I want to put up a 24 by 36 garage right on the corner with a 10-foot offset, and he agrees to it, and I agree to his that's already up there. And that's the only comment that I have.
Did you say your name for the record?
Jay Hunter.
Okay.
I'm the abutter,
Okay.
and I also have a 20-foot right-of-way to the lake.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right.
You want this for the record, Terry?
Yes, please, thank you.
Sit down to Derek.
Is that something?
Is there anybody else who wants to make a comment? Then I'm going to close the public hearing, and the board is
That just what he just said?
going to enter deliberations, huh?
That letter that
Yes.
you just, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I should have passed it that way so you could all see it. Okay, so deliberations, Ellen?
Well, the configuration and the location, from a common sense, he has access doors in the back of his garage. And so therefore, he doesn't have to drive around to get to his carport. He drives through the existing garage into the carport directly. So the geometry of what he's built is similar because he built square to the existing garage. It's not uncommon not to know exactly where your property lines are, but there is a fence there. It's been there for probably forever. It was close, but not exact. So take it for what it's worth. But it's, if you can meet the other criteria, both shoreland and whatever, because he hasn't mentioned that, he's got some other criteria to pass before he can actually say that I've got all the approval I need for this carport. Because if he needs shoreland, he doesn't have it, so he's got to go through that process too. And they're not usually too lenient about after the fact construction. You may already know that. Well, you'll have fun.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you. Anybody else?
And I just want to be clear, even though that letter was referencing something he's going to build, this is specific to these
Correct.
folks right here.
Yes,
Okay.
basically the letter,
Yes.
the letter stated that he agrees to this as long as the applicant agrees when he comes forward to do what he said he wants to do. And they all signed it, all four
Okay.
parties.
Thank you.
Okay, so are we ready for a motion? Who's going to do it?
No? I'll do it. I motion to approve the variance to allow for construction of a carport attached to a garage that does not meet the side setback requirement of 15 feet. The existing garage is located 5.2 feet from the side property line. The carport addition will be located 7.8 feet from the side property line.
Okay, we have a second?
Located on 18 Elm Street.
I'll second.
Okay.
Map 35, lot 20.
Yeah, got it. Okay, so we have the motion, we have the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. You're all set, thank you.
All right, this one. There it is.
Yeah, just knocking it off.
Our next application is William Surratt, applicant owner seeking a variance to construct a garage attached to an existing home that will not meet the 35-foot required front setback. The proposed garage will have a front setback of approximately 22 feet. This concerns Section 4.3 Table of Dimensional Regulations of the Goffstown zoning ordinance. The property is located at 10 Ploss Lane, map 27, lot 18, zoned agricultural. And do we have William Surratt here?
I'm here.
That's wonderful. Come on down and tell us what you're trying to
Our
do.
motion is no regional impact.
Oh, thank you. Do we have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. And what do you have to tell us about your application?
I guess I just want to build a garage on the side of my house.
It can't be that simple.
We can. 28 by 28 garage. The property I've owned since 1979.
Uh-huh.
I guess we decided we want to put a garage on it.
Okay.
And I guess I was surprised it was still agriculture. There's no farms around us.
Agricultural is no longer defined by farms. It's basically the size of the lot requirements.
Yeah,
You know, chickens?
I do have chickens.
There we go.
There you go.
I do.
Let's not bring up chickens.
No goats yet, though.
Okay, does anybody have questions for the applicant? Nope.
We don't have any plot plan or anything, so we, you know, when the applicant says 20, well, that's
Oh, I know, this is crazy.
pictometry. We don't have any site survey, or when he says 22 feet, are we gonna ask for some kind of survey to, you know, he's gonna have to get a certified foundation plan. Is that gonna be sufficient to show the location on the property line to make sure he meets the 22 feet? I'd like to make sure that that's in a motion someplace.
I agree, that's what we've been requiring.
Certified
whenever the
site plan.
setbacks. Well,
It's a
foundation.
Foundation plan.
Foundation plan would be good enough for that.
So is that something that the builder will do?
You could have him do it.
He might,
You could
yeah.
hire him to do it. Just a surveyor could go and do it. You're gonna have to find your exact line that's at the road, your property line, and then measure to your foundation and document that.
Good luck.
Yeah, so you wouldn't need a full survey of the entire.
No,
road. You
just
would
the
need what the front
Foundation.
front line
Yeah.
is.
Oh, okay. Because we just had a boundary agreement, I don't know how many years ago.
Okay.
Everybody's, but then the town ripped up the other post, I don't know what that is.
No comment.
But, that's,
If the road's in the center, you'll know where your property line
I'm
is.
not sure.
Probably not. Probably not.
Yeah, but yes, okay, I understand. I do understand.
Okay.
That's something you should address with the town admin. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Public Works.
Yeah. Those roads were done a long time ago.
They did pave the road.
Does anybody else have questions?
That's an Uncle Boy.
There's no complaint there.
Well,
So I don't know, as simple as it can be. I want a 28 by 28 garage.
Oh, wait, it's like 20, 24.
with a front setback of about 22 feet instead of 35. Okay. The board seems to have no questions at this point.
I may have a question.
Okay, we'll wait for David. I mean, Jason. Go ahead, David.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure, because this said 28 by 24. I mean, it's, I don't have a big deal with this. I just like to make wording right when I
think that's what it says.
make more sense.
I think the 28 includes the proposed breezeway that's in between.
Gotcha.
No, it doesn't. There's a plan in the packet.
Oh, no.
It goes 32. So it should be 28 by 28, right?
Yeah. Okay, yeah, it is 28 by 28, and then there's the 6 feet for the breezeway.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Jason, it's after the lot.
Oh, it's on that one. Okay.
Yeah, it's on that one, so he's got 28 here, 28, and that goes to the edge, and then there's 6 feet for the breezeway.
Cool, thank you. Yeah, I remember seeing that. I just, as I was, in case Denise looked at me and said, is anybody else going to make motions tonight?
I'm gonna tell somebody else to do it.
Okay, before we move on to the public, can you tell us about the answers that you wrote in your,
Yes. I have no idea what they really mean.
well,
Honestly.
I have no idea what they say.
Can't read my writing? I can't either, so. So I don't really know what all
Did
this-
you
I don't-
write them?
Of course. My wife would have written 4 sentences. So getting a variance will not be contrary to public interest because it will not affect anyone's property.
Okay.
They probably increase their property values. The spirit of the ordinance is observed because it would not cause hardship to anyone else and would enable us full use of our property. Granted, variance would do substantial justice because it would allow us a garage for our older years to store our vehicles.
And stuff.
And stuff, and stuff.
We all have stuff,
We all have stuff, yeah.
okay?
I don't have any other ones, is it there?
Yeah, you already said that the surrounding properties will not, property values won't be diminished. You said that already. And that was the next one. The next, so hardship. Tell us about your hardship.
Hardship, we have hardship. I guess it would give us dry vehicles, no snow-covered vehicles in the wintertime, in our elder years, that.
And it's a reasonable use because it's a garage for something?
Entry to our home.
Entry to our home, okay. And you need a garage to house your vehicles and property.
Yes. I couldn't make.
Okay.
We're not getting.
I've been there. I built a house in '86. I haven't had a garage yet. So maybe now it's time.
Okay.
Maybe.
Does the board have any questions? Alan? I can tell by the look
Just
on
a
your
comment, he's really
Is it just-
going on this elder.
Well, what else can I go on? I don't know what else to say. You want a garage to keep our cars dry? And
I just think
I don't know.
caution is the best way to move on this, because the road needs to be identified where it is, because if you go to the GIS and you assume the road is on the proper alignment on the GIS, there's only 22 feet to the edge of the road when you use the scale function of the GIS.
Yeah, that's, the
Okay,
GIS
so
is
it
ridiculous.
brings into question what kind of setback do we have when it's built from the road?
We are told all the time, though, the GIS isn't
No.
always accurate.
Oh, it's more accurate than you think.
It's close.
It's close, but no cigar. But it gives you a hint of the potential problem in being able to meet even a 10-foot setback from the right-of-way may not be possible.
But we're gonna require some type of certification on
Right.
that.
But the thing is, I would caution, do it first before building anything. That's what I'm telling them.
Yeah.
No after the fact forgive me's?
No forgiveness.
That's what
This
you're
is no
telling, but that's what you're
forgiveness.
telling me anyway. But I should
Yeah.
obviously
Right.
get some.
Is that lane a regular sized road?
No, it's not.
So how many, was it
Sure
roads?
is. It is now.
Yeah, but is it as
But the
wide
right-
as a
but the right-
regular road?
But the right-of-way is not 50 feet
It's not.
in that area.
Oh, yeah,
What is
that's
it?
kind of like my street.
It's like 32 feet. You know, it's a narrow
Right,
pathway
I
that
thought
got made
so.
into a road.
Right.
Well, have you been down there lately?
Well, I know it's been paved this year. I drive by it every day.
After the floods, they came down and made it nice and wide and they paved it.
But that doesn't mean it's in the right-of-way either.
What do you mean right away?
Where the road is.
Oh, no, I'm just saying
Road.
that it's a pretty wide road. It's
Yeah.
not like a dirt road anymore.
Oh, I know.
No, I know.
Yeah, it's been paved.
Yeah.
I'm asking the question because if it's a 50-foot road, then you gotta,
I'm sure it's not 50 feet.
right.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, two of us could squeeze by each other. Me and my one neighbor. Yes.
Okay.
Jason, did you have a question?
No.
I thought, sorry, put your hand up. Anybody else? Then we need to open this to the public. Anybody in the public?
There we go. So that's not-
I have a question. Am I supposed to be here tonight?
Yes, you're last on the agenda.
Yes, you're.
I'm last, okay. I didn't know, I wanted, it's my first time doing this. That's all. Good luck. You deserve it.
Good luck, everybody.
I'm glad he's at the end because he's
Yeah.
funny.
1986, jeez.
I bought it when I was 19.
I wasn't even born.
1979.
Okay, so we have no public comment. I'm going to close the public hearing and the board will enter deliberations.
I'm ready to make a motion.
Do we have any
Nobody
discussion
cares.
before we hear Jason's motion?
I think it's critical that we have some type of survey. You got that? Then you go for it, Jason.
Elevation planner survey.
No, it's a
The certified-
Well, you can go a certified, you don't want to do a certified foundation plan, well, you can, and if it's in the wrong spot, that's it, and he has to stop. So, that's, I mean, that's not an unusual
Just
thing
a
to request.
foundation survey, though, is what we're.
Certified foundation location. We don't need a plan. Do we want a plan, or we want a
No.
certification?
The thing is, the normal course of events would be, if you hire a contractor,
Mhm.
he's got to know what he's building, so he's gonna stake it out. And at that point in time, they could actually get a indication of how far away from the right-of-way they are without having a foundation in place. That would be the normal way to do it. And then you'd know if you have a problem right away.
But it's not up to us to tell him the way to do it. We're just gonna say we need some type of certification that it is in the right place.
Well, do you want to tell him how far from the right-of-way he wants to be, or has to be, with the addition?
Yeah, because he's asking for us for how many feet, so we're gonna grant him that many feet from the property line.
That's not what it says.
It doesn't say 20,
35 feet.
22 feet.
Front setback of approximately 22 feet.
22 feet.
So that's what we're gonna give him.
So if you go out there and measure from the width of the garage at 26 feet plus 22 feet, do you have 46 feet to the pavement from the edge of your house?
It's on there, yes.
If he doesn't, he'll have to come back. I mean, we're going by what he's telling us.
He has,
The total distance from A to D is 56 feet.
So A is that corner to the front property line, a straight line.
A is the corner of my house, and then the D is the property line, correct? But I would absolutely make sure before I put a
I think,
foundation
Alan, it's
in,
one
that it would
page
be
before that.
minimum of 22 feet from
Correct.
wherever it was. Correct.
See, now you have to get certified foundation plans, and you have a problem. Well, they used to be $500, but who knows what they are now. Probably.
I can,
Okay.
$1,500.
Well, one.
1,500 probably.
I can swing it.
Okay, so.
I would definitely make sure that I'm 22 feet from wherever they say that property is. Yes. Absolutely.
What's the
Well-
motion? Oh,
Did you measure to the edge of the pavement or to a property line?
Well, our boundary agreement said that we went along the pavement, is what we said in our boundary agreement. We went from one place to another. We walked it with Mr. Hardy, and we made our agreement after it was paved.
So your dimensions that you gave us are to the pavement.
To the edge of the pavement.
That's not the right-of-way.
So what's the right of way?
The right-of-way would be the land that the road fits within. So there might be the shouldering on the side. Sometimes in newer subdivisions, you'd have sidewalks within the right-of-way. Many times you have the first few feet of somebody's lawn that they mow. And
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 1
Sometimes you have
to
10
3
feet into
feet.
their lawn.
1 to 3 feet.
Don't know anything about that. It's my property, and there's no sidewalk. There's no person.
I remember reading this definition somewhere.
Things I don't know.
I got you.
Well, let's see what we
Can
got
we-
here for a plot plan. Right of way. So was this originally just a right of way and then turned into a town road? Is that what happened?
Class 6.
It was a class 6?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And as we, go around things, the road was a different way than it was before. So-
It's moved.
It's kind of moved, because if you look at some original things, it actually kind of goes right past the corner of my house. But then it all moved over.
It may be in his favor.
Right.
Yeah, so it all moved over, is what I know. But then when when Mrs. Robinson put her land into conservation land, Mr. Hardy came out and spent numerous days trying to find a stake, and he wouldn't use the one that I said that we found. But anyway, in the end, we all did a boundary agreement, is what we did.
Okay.
All of us neighbors, and we just...
In writing, at the deed, the
It's in the new one, whatever it is. Yep. The one I have says Carl Hardy on it, and whatever year that was, I don't even know.
The 1983?
No, that's the old one.
That's the old one?
Yeah, there's a new one here. Somewhere there's a new, oh, okay, I'm sorry. I have the wrong name. Carl Hardy is who I bought it from. But in the land of, I don't know. It's in a record somewhere. When the road was done, and like I said, it went to conservation land around the Scatterplug. I did a boundary agreement with Jeff Barnes, my neighbor, and another neighbor, and the Piscataqua land grant.
Yep.
And we just all kind of redid that. And it's in your files.
So based on this, that road's 30 feet. No, that's it, 30 feet. So, get a survey before you do the garage. Are you thinking of giving him less? Is that what you're thinking?
Yes.
Is that why you're going this route?
Yep.
I know you, Alan.
Okay,
I was gonna make a motion for 15 feet.
I was getting up 20.
I've looked at a property there, so I know there's a few contentious problems on both those streets here. Because
I'm
they're
not
both
opposed.
class-
If you want to go 15, I mean, it's two houses. It's never going to be a through road.
No, it's not gonna go, it can't go
I'm fine.
anywhere.
I'm fine.
It's dead-ended.
Yeah. And then he doesn't have to come back. If it is wider, then,
The only time you
I'd
have
still
to come
get a
back
survey,
if it's worse than that.
yeah, you still need to get it surveyed. Okay.
Okay, so what's the motion? Who's making it?
Oh. You were ready.
I was ready to go, but then we changed this, so.
I'll make a motion to approve the variance to construct a garage attached to an existing house with a front yard setback of 15 feet, rather than 22 feet as requested. At 10 Plots Lane, map 27, lot 18.
Requiring a survey.
Requiring a survey of the foundation. Now, how he proceeds...
That's
is-
right. That's your business and how you
That's your
proceed.
business.
Okay.
Okay.
Do we have a second?
Second.
And so we have the motion, we have the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
All that, you
Such
didn't
a-
even let me second.
I'm sorry. We're such a good team tonight.
What's that?
Look at us.
Thank
We're
you.
just
Thank you very
rousing
much.
through.
I appreciate
Have a
it.
good night.
All right.
Thanks.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, next application is Christine Filto applicant and Deborah McCarter owner are seeking a special exception to convert an unfinished basement of a single-family home into an accessory dwelling unit. This concerns section 5.2 of the Goffstown zoning ordinance. The applicant is also seeking a variance as the lot size is 9,583 square feet, whereas the supplemental standards from section 5.2.7 for accessory dwelling units require the lot meet the minimum lot size of 10,000 square feet. The property is located at 34 Pine Hill Ave, map 14, lot 40-19, zoned residential 2. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
Tell us about your application, please.
I
Oh,
do not,
wait, oh, hold on.
I have motion no regional impact.
Second.
All right, we have the motion for regional impact and the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Now you can continue. Thank you.
I do not have my notes on the zoning application, just the special exception. Thank you. Yeah, okay, so she is looking to do an accessory unit in the unfinished basement of her home, where there's currently one finished room. Nothing on the exterior of the home whatsoever. The lot size is undersized by less than 500 square feet, where 10,000 feet are required, and there's only 3 lots on the street that are undersized. Hers happens to be one of them. And she doesn't want to change the footprint of the building in any way whatsoever. The whole accessory unit is going to be within the basement of the existing home. So it won't change anything. It's going to meet all the criteria of an accessory unit. The only problem we have is the lot size on this.
Okay.
And that's about it. Do you want me to read through my points or get right to it?
Might as well.
We're gonna fly right through this. Okay. So for the variance, let's see. Description of why variance is required. The lot on which the ADU will be located is only 9,594 square feet, where 10,000 square feet is required. Conditions and supplemental standards and zoning ordinance applicable to the requested variance.
You don't need to read all those.
No,
Just
good.
jump down to number 1.
Okay, granting the variance would not be contrary because all improvements will be within the existing home, therefore it will not change and or affect the public any more than it currently does. The spirit of the ordinance is observed because all requirements are met with the exception of 5.2.8. That criteria is not met because a lot of record is a pre-existing non-conforming lot. Granting the variance would do substantial justice because the homeowner bought the property at the current size and cannot control the size of the lot that was purchased, and the lot size is below the required criteria by less than 500 square feet. All setback requirements are met regardless of smaller size. The values of surrounding properties will not be diminished because all improvements will be done within the basement of the home. The existing footprint will not be altered at all, and the surrounding properties will keep current buffers, etc., and all emergency access will remain as is.
And then regarding hardship?
Hardship. The lot of record is under the minimum lot size required of the zoning of that area. It is an official lot of record and has a dwelling that meets setback requirements currently. The proposed use is a reasonable one because the existing footprint of the home will remain as is and not impact any of the current requirements or setback buffers, and the ADU is an allowable exception in that area. Unnecessary hardship. Again, the home was purchased under the minimum required lot size, and the owners are trying to utilize the existing conditions to create a home that meets their needs without impacting the general public. All other criteria of section 5.2 for accessory dwelling units, specifically 5.21 through 5.27, will be met as required. If the lot of record was 10,000 square feet like the others in the neighborhood, it would also be met.
Okay.
Take a break, I need some water. Okay.
All right, so let's discuss this variance or address the variance first, then we'll move on to the special exception. Does the board have questions?
I thought we had to do the special exceptions first and then the variance.
Yes.
True. I got it backwards, you're right, thank you. All right, special exceptions.
Okay, here we go. Description of the proposal: accessory dwelling unit with an existing single-family home in an R2 zone, P3 neighborhood. Ordinance criteria: site is appropriate to the town's master plan at 587 square feet of additional living space is within the 800 square foot criteria. Off-street parking is available. Direct access for emergency personnel is provided as required. No change to exterior of home will not change current conditions. A specific site is an appropriate location for such use. It's allowable within the current zone district with guidelines to keep the character and impact to the community as they currently are. The size or frequency of the use will not significantly alter the character of the neighborhood because the space being created will be within the unfinished basement, not altering the existing structure or exterior. Space will allow area sufficient for 1 to 2 people maximum and not greatly increasing the demand of the neighborhood. The use will not create a nuisance because there is currently enough off-street parking for 4 vehicles. There are currently 2 spaces being used, so off-street parking will not be an issue. The proposed location is of sufficient size to allow for adequate and appropriate facilities for the proper operation of the use because there is an existing rear entrance walkout basement to the home with a clear walkway for easy access. The proposed location is of sufficient size to allow for appropriate buffers of this use to adjacent properties. The exterior size and current use of walkways access will not change at all. All exterior elements will remain as they currently are. Are there issues and matters applicant deems relevant? All local official building and fire codes will be met to safely create the additional living space in the community. This will ensure safety to the neighborhood as well as all the occupants. And that's it.
Board have
A
questions?
little more straightforward than some of the other ones, but.
Does the board have questions? Jason?
Ms. McCarter is going to be living at the property?
What's that?
Ms. McCarter is going to be living at the property?
Yes, yes. That is her primary residence.
Thank you.
Alan?
What's the headroom downstairs in the basement?
It's 7'4".
Good. It's finished?
Yes.
Okay.
You okay with that?
Yep. 7-foot minimum.
Yep.
Okay. Anybody else have questions?
Nope.
Okay, then we're going to open it to the public. Is there anybody in the audience who has comments?
No, he's not here to help you.
I was just gonna say, we lost our cheerleader.
Okay, seeing nobody, we're going to close the public hearing and the board can enter deliberations.
Yes. Thank you.
Which one do you want to hit first?
We'll go with the special exception first. If we don't grant the use, then we don't need to grant the variance, my opinion.
Nobody has any discussion. I will make a motion to grant a special exception to convert unfinished basement of a single-family home into an accessory dwelling unit at 34 Pine Hill Avenue, map 14, lot 40-19.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have the motion, we have the second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, and how about the special exception?
The variance?
The variance.
The variance.
That was a special
That wasn't,
exception.
why am I doing this?
I will make a motion to grant a variance to convert, to add a accessory dwelling unit as part of a single-family home, whereas the lot size is too small to meet the requirement.
Lot size is
Where it has
9,583
9,583 feet, well, 10,000 is required at 34 Pine Hill Avenue, map 14, lot 40-19.
Second.
Okay, we have the motion, we have the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. You're back.
Enjoy.
Oh, we already had you
We
going
already did
around, I'm
yours.
sorry.
Oh, he's making faces now.
He's not.
You talking to me? Yeah. You said, I don't have to sleep away, I'm sorry.
Well, we called you, you weren't here, we moved on. Derek, would like to have fun at these meetings.
I guess so. It's been a long time. I've been, you guys have changed a little bit.
Okay.
Are you saying we were uptight?
Yeah.
That was before you were on the board.
I thought so.
Okay,
I got up at 4, I'm gonna punch you right now.
The next application is Michael Giuliano. Did I pronounce it right?
Yes.
Okay, and Jacqueline Martone, applicant's owner seeking a variance to convert existing living space in a single-family home into an accessory dwelling unit. The variance for the use of the accessory dwelling unit is required as it's not permitted in the commercial district per section 3.12 table of, or 3.12 table of accessory uses of the Goffstown zoning ordinance. The property is located at 210 Daniel Plummer Road, map 3, lot 48, zone commercial. Zone commercial. Do we have a motion for regional impact?
I'll make a motion that there's no regional impact.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right.
I don't have any, I didn't get any copies of anything. Thank you. Sorry.
It's,
guess that's a-
it's what's happening tonight.
It's common around here, I guess.
Okay, tell us about your application, what you're trying to do.
I bought a house last year with an ADU. The previous owner did not build it. She bought it from someone else that built it. I bought this house thinking it was okay. We came here to, I want to build a garage. I have a lot of land. It's not used at all. It's an old farm. It's like, I think it's the last or the second oldest house in this town. I want to put it to good use. It was built in 1877.
Wow.
I have an 8,000 square foot barn. It's just, it's a big property. There is an apartment that is attached to my house that was there when I bought it, and that was there from the previous owner before me that bought it. We came here to build, like I said, I want to build a garage out back, and I was told that the apartment is not legal. So in order to build the garage, I got to make the apartment legal, so I'm trying to cover my tracks and do everything that the town said to make it legal. I had the building inspector, I believe his name is Mark, come out. He inspected it, told us everything we had to do. We went through, he sent us a huge checklist. The fire lieutenant came out too. And we did everything on the list. And now we went to get it approved, and they said we had to come here and change it because it's commercial. Even though the house was there since 1877. It's a residential neighborhood.
Yeah.
Every house on the street is every place on the street is a home. There's only 4 houses on the street. So St. Anselm College owns all the property around me, and they don't intend to build anything.
Across the road is all St. A's.
Yeah.
But isn't there a Landscape Plus or something like
At
that?
the bottom of the hill, there's Landscape Plus, correct? Yep.
Yeah, that whole strip
Yeah, so there's
is
my house.
commercial.
There's 3
It's
houses.
zoned.
There's my house.
Houses.
There's 2 houses on my side of the street next to me, and there's one across the street, which is owned by St. A's and is a rental from St. A's. So I'm one of 4 houses on the whole street. And then St. A's owns everything up to the stop sign, and there's a large, like, industrial building that they use for storage,
Benchmark.
which abuts St. Anselm Drive.
Yes.
I'm new to the area. So.
Okay.
The apartment was there when we bought the house.
So you
We
gotta
knew
make it
nothing
legal.
of this, that it wasn't permitted legally. So now we're going through the process of making it legal.
It's a fun process.
Yeah, and our septic system failed. There was a whole to-do, so we had to get a new septic, which has been permitted to adapt to this larger
Okay, so
ADU, just to
that
get
was
that out of the
fine.
way.
That was
And I got a guy building it who, excuse my language, sucks. Just to put it out there, but
Don't say names.
it's going, just taking forever. It was a 1 to 2 week process, and this is week 7 of just a one septic system, so. I've had my fair share as a
Week
contractor. 7 weeks it's been, so. But it's being built to the state approved, I believe.
I don't believe they have
You
a
guys don't
copy,
have
but
it,
we do have a copy. of the
I have it on email. I could email it to you
No.
right now.
That's a building.
This this lot, this blueprint that you guys have here, this was the previous owner that wanted to turn it into a parking lot, which you guys approved. The apartment was there. The septic system is in the exact same place. It's just 20 feet farther because it's a way bigger system. So everything else is exactly the same. I mean, except there's no parking lot, obviously. You guys did, this is an approved plan from the town of Goffstown to build this because it's commercially zoned. And like I said, the house has been there before the zoning board was even, or any of these rules applied to the zoning. So, just want to make it right.
Yeah, I hear you.
That's interesting.
Okay, does the board have questions?
So, I was trying to figure this out. So, the apartment is in which part of the building?
See, if you're looking on this big, the last page,
Yeah.
see where it says proposed septic tank?
Proposed
Yep.
septic tank.
There's like
Oh, yes, tank.
and there's a tree beneath it.
Yep. Oh, that
So
square.
that little
thing?
square area is the apartment. They have, they have a slider door. They have two ways of, I forget what it's called.
Egress.
It's like egress. They have there's plenty of parking. The parking lot that's, if you cut off all those parking spots, there's parking for like 20 cars. It's just a massive property. I feel like the apartment, I mean, it was already there, like I said. It doesn't hurt the property size at all. I have really no neighbors. I have one that I can see. So, and then the other neighbors across 114, which is like a junkyard. And then it's St. A's for my other two abutters. So.
May I ask a question? How many square feet is the?
It's like 816 square feet. I think it has to be like 800 for it to be an ADU. If it's over, it becomes like a two-family, but it's a one-bedroom apartment. Like I said, it was there. Mark came out and gave us this large list. I don't know what the next step would be from here, but we've been going back and forth with Mark. Probably 50 phone calls, I'm not even kidding, to try to get this settled. And he finally answered saying, you gotta come to the zoning board, so I'm just trying to get this approved.
Trying to get the apartment approved.
That was already there when we bought it, yeah.
Now, you said it's over 800 square feet?
It's like
Is it our
800,
maximum 800 feet?
816.
Yeah, he said it's 816. Our maximum is 800.
So everybody knows that ADUs are one of my favorite things in the whole wide world.
Sure.
You can blame it on the town. They used to own this.
So,
they used to own my house?
Yeah.
Oh.
They probably added it. Derek is like,
I
she
saw that
did not say that. They would never have done it.
My whole reason for coming here, I'm a small business owner, and I was in Hudson trying to grow my business. And on your website to the town of Goffstown, it basically, the opening page says, we want your business here. And that was the whole reason for me moving here. This is a commercially zoned property. I want to build a garage out back. I own a tree company. I provide a lot of work for the area. I'm a growing business, and I want to build a shop out back, a garage, not a shop, but to park my trucks inside. And that was like the main reason for me moving here. It's a very large property, very small, not busy road, and this apartment's holding me up. So I really would like to make everything right with the town and get on, a good foot with you guys to grow my business here. That's my main goal.
well, welcome to Goffstown.
Yeah, thank you.
You made a good choice.
Okay.
Thank you, yeah, I love it.
It's a wonderful, wonderful community. Okay, questions, comments, anything to ask the applicant? Alan? Questions?
I just chuckle. I've driven by that for 50 years. And I've always enjoyed that structure going
Oh,
up from
yes.
14.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of says, gee, I'm out in the country.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I have no neighbors. Like I said, just that one person, and you hit 114, and it's like, boom, there's civilization.
And I think, if you really think about it, that would be a place where commercial development should take place along that 114.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
But do you know why?
huh?
There's no access to 114.
There's a St. Anselm Drive.
That's right.
The,
Controlled access.
Yeah, there's a traffic
You
light there.
can't have any other, all right.
Because I think the town has tried through the master plan to get another access to either,
Because they made a
both sides
deal
of 114.
many years ago. I know all about this.
yeah.
Made a deal years ago, they would have limited access on that one.
Jason?
Would you say that the ADU is less than 840 square feet, which is 5% more than what our ordinance
Yes,
allows?
it's 816 square feet.
Okay. Positive, right? I
Yeah.
don't want you to run into trouble later. Okay.
Yes. All right.
My suggestion, if you make a motion, is don't talk about square footage at all. Because who knows how you measure things?
Right.
From the outside wall or from the inside?
Because it's not supposed to exceed 800 square feet.
Right, but that's the problem right there, is that if we, assuming that that's what I'm going to talk about, I don't want to leave it open-ended so that we can
Always
put a
is tax
2,200 square foot ADU in there.
No, maximum size 800 square feet.
Right, but he's over that. So if he gets called on the carpet down the road for the same kind of problem, I want to help try to avoid that problem now. Because
I
we
don't
know-
plan on altering this apartment at all. I don't plan on altering the outside usage
Thank you.
of
That was
of
it.
the structure. Nothing, it has
Can you
been.
reduce the square footage of the,
Can I?
can you, by 16 feet?
I'm not sure I would ask about that.
I don't know how I would. It's basically like you walk in and there's a kitchen. That's the kitchen. And then there's a bathroom. And then you keep walking and it's like a large room,
You know where I'm going.
like a living room.
I know.
And then there's
Yes.
an upstairs
That's why I said it.
to a bedroom. It has a staircase to a small bedroom. With that, if it's like a queen bed in it, and all the it's got dormers on either side, so there's very small, not small, but there's. I don't think I could make it, and no, I couldn't make it any smaller
Okay.
comfortably.
All right, so where are you going with this, Jason?
I'm set with questions now, I think.
Anybody else?
I would comment that the grant, as an existing condition, regardless of square footage.
Yeah, that's what we
exactly
were
what I
just
said,
saying.
as existing. Thinking alike.
Okay. I need you to
Read all
review
my-
your variance criteria and your special exception criteria for the
If I
record.
can read my own handwriting.
That is what-
So you want me to read just down the
You
list?
can read it or just summarize it. You don't have to read. You
Oh, I
can-
don't really
Starting with
understand
one.
it, so kind of. I did it on the whim of being helped.
Okay, okay.
Description of why a variance is required.
You don't have to
ADU.
go there. Just start at number
Where it
one.
says number one, granting the variance.
Oh, okay, granting the variance. The main house is a residential home. And, so the granting the variance would not be contrary to the public interest because the main house is already a residential home and all the homes on the street are residential already. And it's in a commercial zone, so that shouldn't affect anything. The spirit of the ordinance is observed because this was an existing house and the apartment was there before zoning was changed. Granting the variance would do substantial justice because the single-family home already exists with the dwelling unit attached already. Number 4, the values of surrounding properties will not be diminished because it doesn't affect them in any way. Our property is very large. And I'll just summarize this. Like I said, I have like 500 feet of road frontage. There's one neighbor I can see. It doesn't change anything structural, traffic-wise. It's not a commuter road. I think it's called a collector road, so it's not a busy road that I'm gonna change how the traffic is on it.
Yep. What about hardship?
Demonstrate the, all right, so,
The apartment does not affect any other homes, is what you've written?
yeah, it does not affect any other homes. The proposed use is a reasonable one because the apartment has all the amenities needed and has been inspected by a building inspector to update all changes that were requested. And
And then your other issues and matters that the house was built before?
zoning laws were changed.
Okay.
So basically, it's, at the moment, I'm in a commercial zone because the street that I'm on, but every home on this street that is in the same zoning is residential already, so we're not changing anything that's already pre-existing.
Now, you said that the proposed use is reasonable because it's been inspected by the building inspector?
Yeah, the guy's name is Mark.
Right, to update all changes requested. So can you tell me, is it something that he's done recently?
It was, I think, in March this year.
Okay.
There's a pellet stove that was installed. There was no permit, so we had to get that inspected, permitted.
Okay. All right, so that's the list you're talking about.
Correct. There's a list of things.
That punch list you said when you first sat down of all these things that you're trying to get in order.
Yeah, because basically, like I said, I wanted to build a garage, and this apartment told us up, so we had to do all these things in order for the apartment to be approved, and then he told us we had to go to zoning like 7 months later. So I've been waiting since March.
Okay.
That's when I met with him. I got all the stuff done, the punch list, and then I had to come to you guys, which I had to wait till December 7th.
Okay, so let's move on to your special exception and what you wrote about that.
The ordinance section, because it's not permitted use, is 5.12.
Yeah, you can start with number 1. Site is an appropriate location because?
It meets all requirements in 5.2, which are the ADU standards.
Okay.
The size or frequency will not significantly alter the character of the neighborhood because it was already there when we bought the house, and it is the last house on the street.
Okay.
The use will not create a nuisance or hazard to vehicles or pedestrians. That cannot be.
Just 1 second, Gil.
Oh.
I don't believe he needs a special exception. He just needs the variance.
No.
Correct, he does not. I think he submitted originally as a special exception, then when we saw it and re-looked at it, we had him resubmit for a variance because an ADU is not a use permitted by special exception in this zone.
That's right, I did with that.
It's typically what's in residential 1, R2, and agricultural, but it's because it's not a use permitted by special exception, it's simply a variance. Thank you.
Okay.
So stop reading.
Yeah, you can stop that. Sure.
Yeah, right on.
Thank you.
Gail, I do have one question.
What's that?
How many bedrooms are
One.
in that house?
Oh,
In the entire house, with that ADU?
5.
Okay, you got a septic system approved for 4 bedrooms.
No, it says 4 plus 1 bedroom ADU.
Oh,
I think
geez,
that might be
correct me, good.
So there was a septic system that was designed
That's not good.
and it was sent in, and the state approved a larger system, which is what we're doing. It's a 1,600
Yeah,
gallon,
at the bottom, number 2.
1,600 gallon compartment.
Yeah, I'm all set.
It's just a massive
Just want
system.
to make sure.
I made sure that it was going to be big enough for this.
Isn't that fun? Isn't it fun?
I hate to say it, was it during the pandemic area or
Would have been easier.
it would have been quicker, and easier, but
Oh, maybe.
timing is everything right now. Like I said, 8 months just to get this is
Can for
killing
these
it.
things.
Does the board have any other questions of the applicant?
No.
Okay, then we're going to open the hearing to the public. Okay. Does anybody in the public have anything to say?
Yeah. Okay. You're not one of the neighbors, are you? No. Oh, all right. Good. I don't know anyone.
He's looking
Maybe
for a
he's going to
cheerleader
join
now.
us on the zoning board.
I just might. My wife said to.
You know, I was thinking the same thing, that you should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on the
You know what?
zoning
Once
board?
my business has grown to the point where I don't have to be there every single day, I
We're at night. We're at night. I have my own business. We work at night.
I sleep. I go to bed at like 9 o'clock. I'm like an old
Once a
man.
month. It's only 5 of now, and we're just about done.
That's not common, though.
Okay.
All right, let's
Okay,
move forward.
so on to you finish your application. We're going to close the public hearing. The board will enter deliberations. And we'll seal your fate one way or the other.
Does anybody
I'm gonna
want
cross
to
my legs and my fingers.
No, just go.
I'm ready to make a motion.
Derek is closing his eyes. And not because he's tired. Okay, what's your motion, Jason?
Pursuant to this being an existing ADU and the town administrator is acting as staff liaison for the zoning board, indicated that we as a board could, should we feel we have the authority to do so, make an adjustment. We allow a variance for the existing ADU, which exceeds 800 square feet, to be allowed a variance.
As presented?
As existing.
As exist, okay.
Yeah.
Lot, address?
Oh, gosh, thanks. At 210 Daniel Plummer Road, map 3, lot 48, in the beautiful town of Goffstown, New Hampshire.
Second.
Okay, we have the motion from Jason with Alan second. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah,
This is gonna be called the comedy
I might go out and
one.
get it. I might go out and drink a beer.
I now make a motion for a variance for the use of the accessory dwelling unit as it is not permitted in the commercial district at 210 Daniel Plummer Road, map 3, lot 48, in the beautiful town of Goffstown, New Hampshire.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Good night.
That's it. Thank
All right,
you.
then.
All right, can I get one more question? What do I do now?
Go talk to Mark.
We'll send you a notice of decision and I'll talk to Mark.
There was a note for right here at the top. It was $800. Do I for
That's-
butters?
You can
And
pay me.
then I was told it was like $3,000 for this whole process. So how do I? What is?
I'll talk to Mark and we'll be in touch. Patty Gale from the planning office will write up the notice of decision and then we'll send you.
Do I have to go to planning now?
No.
Okay.
She works and she'll give you a call and tell you what the next steps are.
All right. Thank you
It might
guys.
be a couple days,
so
but
much.
we'll get the notice of decision out to you by.
Should I be calling?
Sorry?
No, we'll give you a call.
No, we're not having
A phone number?
Long
Yes,
time
we'll
ago.
try to get the line right.
Ping pong.
Yeah. Can you
Pinball
read that?
machines.
I was very excited though.
This is your copy, right?
That before your time, maybe.
There's been a house in there. There's been a
Okay.
Yeah, we'll give you a call.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Bye. I went to school with a kid.
And I want to see an application to join the ZBA.
What'd you say?
I said I would like to see an application from you to join the ZBA.
Yeah, gladly help out. I'd like to see this town grow in a controlled manner.
Okay.
Correspondence.
Okay, we have a couple of issues of correspondence here. One, Patty sent us the meeting schedule for 2022, and she did update it. I don't know if you got the update where it's December 14th of 2021 for the top one, instead of the initial one was 2004, was December 4th.
Good night.
And so if you want to look over that, if you have any comments, we can see about adjusting it if we need to.
And I would just make special note that the meeting in November would be on the second Tuesday, as
that's
the
right.
first Tuesday will be the general election. So
So November 8th?
it'll
Yeah.
be November 8th.
And what did you say about the December?
The very first one, the
Yeah.
meeting of January 4th,
Yeah.
the application due date
Oh.
is actually December 14th. The original document
Okay,
said
yeah,
December
that's
4th.
Okay.
So is there anything that needs to be adjusted as far as you can see?
Ooh, July 5th?
It's just the day after July
Yeah.
4th.
I know.
We do the same thing with Labor Day.
Yeah, no, 4th of July?
You don't have to come down from camp.
Is September 6th, day after Labor Day too?
Probably.
Yeah, I know, yeah. Whatever.
Actually, September 6th will also be an election. That will be the state primary.
Oh,
Okay, so
As
we can't
well.
do that.
so we'll have to
Good.
change that to the 13th?
That would be helpful because I do know members of this board that help out at elections.
Okay.
So that would be helpful to move that to the 13th. Yeah.
Okay. Any others?
Anybody have a birthday?
I'll be here.
Is that it for business?
Okay, the other thing is just in our packets was the zoning amendments public hearing with the planning board is scheduled for Thursday. If anybody wanted to go as, not so much as a zoning board member, speaking for the zoning board, but for yourself, you are welcome to.
Is it in this room?
It's
Yes.
here on Thursday, 7 o'clock, and it's the only thing on the agenda.
The thing about solar is onerous.
Well, one of the samples that they had was a lot bigger than what they've got, so I think they chose the better one to kind of emulate.
Uh-oh.
Okay. And it can always be changed down the road, I suppose. So anyway, that's there, and that is all I have.
Well, you know, it's funny that they can quote, well, we copied this from a town here in New Hampshire because they thought it was a good one. It's ridiculous.
Well, they still made some adjustments.
You said the commercial solar issue? The commercial solar,
No, if you put them on your house.
yeah. But that's not part of 52425. That's for solar systems that are intended for the sale of excess, of generated power, not excess
So
power.
what are you going to do with your excess power? You're going to sell it
That's
back to the
not,
power company?
no, but that's not, the intended sale is not generated power, it's excess power, and that's different.
I have a question on this process. So the planning board puts this together on what they feel
Yes.
that they want changes. We see so many zoning issues that come across us all the time, and some are the same, over and over and over again, and we give variances. Do we have any opportunity to meet with the planning board as a group?
We
To put input in as a whole, so the two
Joint
boards-
meeting?
We can
Yes.
request a joint meeting with them.
Not now, but I mean,
No,
next year
right.
before they do that. I think
And
it's
we
not
can
a bad
also,
idea.
as a board, when they're going to be reviewing the zoning ordinances, we can also discuss them here a little bit and see what suggestions that we
think
might
that's a
like
good
to make,
idea.
or comments that we might like to make, and just
I
submit it that
think
way.
that when they change something in the zoning ordinance in a given year, and we get a new handbook, right? There should be something in there on the side that indicates this paragraph has been changed.
I agree.
They have been doing that since, I believe,
Oh,
2018.
my God.
So if you look, there are some,
Yeah.
on page 113, on 14.6.3, which is one we already,
convenient.
one we already referenced this evening.
Oh,
It does
yeah.
talk about amended.
3/13/18.
So
Yep.
we, as staff, can go back then and look at what that amendment was.
Okay.
I see other ones in here on page 97 for 2020. So,
Yeah.
so we have not done that for many years, but in the last few years, we have been doing that, and I will talk to planning staff about continuing that.
It's a good idea.
It's just, because it's always nice to know what's changed.
Of course.
Because you don't know when you're going to come up against something that's impacted, some application that impacted.
So
If you're
do-
thinking about the past, well, now it's been changed.
And isn't a rewrite of the zoning ordinances, a professional rewrite, something that is a consideration?
The planning board does want the zoning ordinance to be reviewed by professional,
Yeah,
by a
makes sense.
professional consultant outside of staff, to reorganize and make sure there are no conflicts. So yes, that will be a forthcoming project.
So do other towns have joint meetings once a year to discuss zoning changes?
I'm sure there are some. In the past, I know that, before she left, Nancy did provide some and worked with staff here. So you could do it next fall with whoever's in the zoning seat at that time, or alternatively, if you wanted to as a board request, I don't see any reason not to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we see the accessory, the ADU. That's You know, you're gonna start seeing smaller ones
Well,
coming up.
and
And it's,
the same thing like with what you were saying with solar, like having a solar system, it would have been nice to see the town address larger systems.
The question is it necessary? Is it necessary that we actually address it? Are we that concerned about it?
well, somebody is, that's what
Well,
I'm doing.
commercial
Well, we already
solar
have
systems are
an
different.
experience with the commercial one down by Hebert's.
Yeah.
Okay. So what went wrong there that they couldn't control, or that we can't control today?
Does it necessarily mean something went wrong?
Yes, but was there some concern that didn't get addressed in the application and the approval process of that project? I don't
That'd be
think
nice
so.
to know. I think, I
Okay.
mean, that's another reason to have those.
That would be a reason to have it if you had problems. But to put a blanket one in because, oh, we got to address something, just complicates it.
Or is it because this one went in without having one?
No. Did it?
This one's been in before we had a zone, solar, didn't we? Didn't it? I
You
mean,
had to get a site plan approval.
oh, yes, yes, that, but we
Okay.
didn't have solar ordinances.
Well, yes, but the thing is, that doesn't
Derek, you
mean...
thought you were going home early, huh?
I believe their solar was in there, but it didn't have all the supplemental standards.
Right.
Hey, Alan, I think you should go to the planning board meeting.
Oh, I am.
Okay. There we go.
It's like dog kennels. Change the name to what?
Good on me.
It's like a zoning code enforcement officer.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I am motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.